Hello, everybody. Brian here, quantlabsnet.com. Trying out a new piece of software here, recording videos like this now. Hopefully, it will all work out. Anyways, I want to go over a tweet I saw on um, good old X. I don't do this a lot, but thought just to do this for motivation and just to see how people respond to this. Okay, so what we're talking about here is something pretty simple. Um, and what it is basically what's being said here is this. Let's just see if I can get this in full screen. Voila. Okay. Um, cool. So when people say they're rich, their first step is usually real estate. They end up generating 5 to 6% income. Um, and that's what smart. Okay, so they end up generating 5 to 6% net yield on a very large chunk of investment. Okay, smart rich people do this, but what they buy for a better income generation is this. So this guy, Ashcat Vastava, said, for the past year, I've been experimenting with options and I ran a portfolio of 2 million. Okay, we don't ask where he got his money from. Most people do, but I think it's better just to kind of focus on his point. I've said this enough. I've said I've said this enough where people um, move into into things like equity, crypto, into for retail forex. I've been focusing for the last year or so on futures and options, and I've known what was going to happen, and we're pretty well at that point. Bitcoin's pretty well with this latest decline has given a 0% return or pretty close to it. If you got out, you got out. If you're a long-term hodler, you got killed in the last few days, probably the last week or so. Um, so there's that. Plus, there's equity. Most people probably may have cashed out unless you're going through what I am. Portfolio managers. Hopefully, they're smart enough to be able to put you into defensive positions. But now we're starting to see a new form of income. Call options, it's pretty well the new thing for dividend income. Uh, and I'm kind of in that myself where I'm generating income from that. It's done professionally, but I'm doing it through a separate, smaller portfolio. And as I get better at it, I'll deploy more cash at it. It's all about process, it's all about um, workflow and getting to a point where it's done consistently. I think this guy kind of mentions this the best. So let me go back to it. All right. So what this guy says is you basically create a $1 million corporate portfolio of large cap firms that grow no more than 15% compounded annual growth rate in U.S. terms. You sell and put call options around it. If you're selling 10 to 15% of out the money via a put and call, you can safely make 6% yield from each segment. That's roughly 12%. You get compounding on your portfolio. The risk you run is that I would need to buy the stock or sell the stock from my core portfolio. In either case, he's okay. Now, from my perspective, from my perspective, this is what I see. Um, Options and futures is great. Here he's talking about stock options. I think it's safe to say that right now equity is not the place to be because we're going through a major downturn over the last week. They will say, "Oh, the market may come back." It may not actually, because of national debt, and, high unemployment, the impact of AI on jobs and the general economy, blah 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 blah. So, will it come back? Nobody knows. Look at real estate. Real estate is getting killed. One thing you didn't mention about this 5 to 6% return on real estate. is you got associated costs with it, meaning higher insurance, higher uh, maintenance, and most of all, that most people never think of is property tax. There's a lot of socialist uh, cities now. New York's obviously the big one. And they think, well, you're wealthy because you own property. So we're going to extract wealth from you and put it towards programs like free buses and free food and whatnot and whatnot. That's fine. But don't do it around me and don't do it around my real estate because I got out. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, the stock options is something else I'd be kind of at this point kind of leery on. If it's high momentum, that's something different, but we're not seeing those right now. Look at Nvidia. Good a good one there where Peter Thiel has dumped their his shares in it. I think another high profile also dumped Nvidia shares. So that's kind of maybe have peaked out. Um, so futures or options on futures is where you want to be. Commodities, um, currency, treasury. I'm going to say crypto. It'll probably come back for sure. And obviously we got the market indices as well, and a bunch of others, gold, silver you can trade, and you can also trade in the space of futures and options on those precious metals. All right, so let's get back to this. Um, uh, let's do this one. So essentially, this is what he's doing is I've watched you through his portfolio, and I think it's smart actually what he's doing not to take on something that moves. The volatility is key here, so the drawdown you get, it reduces your risk. I've been focusing on that through all of my portfolio management videos, but sometimes you need the volatility to get the returns as well. So you have to be on the risk management side pretty tightly. So here's what he also says. He says the crib that options are too risky. Most people lose money, yes, if they don't know what they're doing. They don't have the processes in place to keep everything in line. We sell options on underlying products where the growth rate is less than 15%. This is the other key one. Portfolio size is way too small. This is why I focus on the process. Don't worry about the returns. Don't worry about the money like the returns. What we got to focus on, the goal is process. Work at your process, and get it consistently profitable. Okay, that's what you need to get comfortable with. And the other thing is they don't have a clear strategy. So what comes with your process is the strategy. Obviously, when you go into AI and automation and being able to create what I've shown in yesterday's video, last night's video, being able to whip up dashboards quickly. Now I'm with obviously the data provider I've talked about for both the data and the venue for trading. When you go through them and get your orders all worked out, tested, then you can start working on your process for here's the key word, the automation of it. That's the big one. Um, and then you can develop working strategies from that and call it process because process is the key word here. So this guy goes on about, I'm telling you all this because options get a bad name. It's not meant for most people, but it's definitely for people with bigger portfolios. Uh, Becomes a significant income generation tool. I think that right there, significant income generation tool, especially when you see the markets going pretty squirrely. Um, and right now, with the markets going pretty squirrely, everything's pointing down. Very little is up. And options and futures is great because you can short, you can long. I'm not a big shorter. There's just always something on the move. I think we are up to 80 plus, maybe close to 90 instruments, and those are the future contracts. Plus, there's the um, options that go with that. And I've also said that liquidity volume is important too because you got to get a fast fill rate. So coming back to this, right here, at $2 million, you can generate enough income through options to pretty well retire in any part of the world. So you could be in your 30s and quote unquote retire and still, I don't know, travel, whatever. But here's the mindset, the typical mindset you get from people like the crypto bros that got pretty well wiped out because of the Bitcoin, and they're still in it to win it. Gotta give them respect for that. But they just don't learn that capital cost, opportunity, um, and whatnot. But this is the typical mindset we get here. How many smart people have time to put strategies and sit in front of their screen all day? Just think, please. They run businesses, generate income, pour money back into the business. That's a typical, shall I say, like a Cardone, um, Grant Cardone mindset. It's so backwards. If you look at what wealthy people do, they look at ways to generate money uh, and an income stream. That's what they do. Real estate's not what it used to be. If you came into where I live right now in Toronto, you quickly realize if you're trying to get into the rental income game via a landlord, you'll quickly realize that uh, tenants pretty well own that space. So it's a high risk move to become a landlord here in Canada, and probably could be said same for a lot of, um, uh, like I said, socialist cities right throughout North America and pretty well the West. So that's quickly becoming a place where you really can't. If you want to get into real estate, all you got to do is just move into REITs if that's really what you want. Um, again, another guy goes, is the return 12% yearly or monthly? 12% yearly is pretty good. Monthly would be pretty good as well. And you could probably do that as well. So right here is going, that's from the options income, not core portfolio. The core portfolio grows at 15% in terms to begin with. So you get two separate streams of revenue here. One portfolio that grows, and all your trading returns on top of that via the options trading. Selling options regularly is a great way to cap your gains and uncap your losses. Classic nickels in front of a steamroller engine works until it doesn't. So this guy goes, selling options makes sense where IV is insanely high, often not even then, and you don't even need income. And just sell a piece of your equity portfolio as you need it. It's not like gold. That's why sometimes gold gets sold off when markets crash. They'll sell off their gold holdings uh, to survive build on bills. That's typically what happens. So your advice is solid, but most of the upper middle class are already wealthy. For lower middle class families, the starting point itself is completely different. I'm living this firsthand. Last week, I went to my hometown thinking, blah, 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 blah. How justified diversified income easily gives equal or better returns. A friend bought a house at 25 lakh. Now, I'm trying to understand this currency terminology out of India. I'm still way off. Sold it for 49. So this guy pretty well um, doubled his money. But again, remember when it comes to homes, is that's money tied up. That's not liquid. Okay, and then you got to play here in North America in the West, most likely a 5% commission rate. Sell the house, so you get that hit there. But the moment I checked the market, every decent home was 50 lakh or 80. Hard to justify where diversified investing easily gives equal or better returns with zero stress. Um, so yeah, it's the typical challenges of renting. But this is totally different. This is India. This is not the West. People with large portfolios, options in real estate can be strategies. Middle income, they're usually liabilities dressed as aspirations. Rent gives flexibility, investing, growth, wealth. So wrong on that. Owning real estate is not liquid. You got to sell. But take now, people are selling. After 7 months, nobody's selling their house, so that's not liquid. Find up your cash in that while the property value goes down. This right here is just not the wise one. S&P typically beats out the general real estate market. There's gonna be real estate brokers. I'll say one thing or another. Always remember that real estate brokers are not economists. Okay, as I said, if you want to get involved in the real estate income game, get a REIT. Okay, a real estate income trust. Therefore, you don't have to worry about toilets at 3 in the morning, that sort of thing, when you're a landlord. Don't think buying a house guarantees the ability to tell relatives this is ours. Yeah, I guess. Anyways, I could go on and on about it, but this is where you generate real wealth. Is through the options and futures market. I'm just slowly asking about options now, outside of all the new things that I've looked at. Obviously, we're here to get people and make them aware of what I do, quantlabsnet.com. If you want to get our free HFT book, all you got to do is just look for our main website. You can sign up here. None of your information is sold, but you can definitely do that here. Um, so we'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. And don't forget about our Black Friday sale. If you want everything access to everything on my website, as I said, if you want full access to everything on my website, 75% off. We are going to be testing the orders this week. We can turn on a switch to go live. Um, and I'm pretty confident where we're at. Will I make money? Nobody knows until we try it. If I'm at a point where I'm beating the market, people have been wanting this, want a track record. That's fine. I have no problem with it. The thing is, if I have a track record that consistently beats the market, S&P 500, people need to start realizing they'll have to pay for it. So all my prices are going to go up a lot to justify it. I did verify for the service I want. There's not a lot of so-called gurus out there using this service. In fact, no guru is doing this because they lose money. What needs to be understood about the general YouTubers and who you see on social media, if they're trading and they're profitable, they'll gladly put up their track record. Verified as well. That's a key word. It's not through some Instagram photo or some spreadsheet. That's all fakery. That's why it needs to be third party verified on some third party. Your tracker that's connected uh into your account, your trading account. Um, so nobody does that. So because they have a passion in trading, where do they go? Well, they go either into education, they go into consulting, they go into blabbing about the markets, but they never ever talk about their trading and or they never show their track record. So begs the question for me to ask, well, you're great at putting all this stuff out, but doesn't mean it wins. Okay. So that's what we're trying to do here at the quantlabsnet.com. I've been doing this for years. I've been doing live trading for a while here and there. But building out, especially with the AI, has really transformed everything. And last night's video kind of summarizes everything to get the market orders out and finally get that executing executed because there's lots of people waiting for this, and I'm not going to sit here and argue it. Um, so if it's successful and that third party verified track record does beat the market, generates alpha, then this is what will be involved right here. You guys gotta, you know, pay up, basically, uh, because there's no ifs ands or buts about it. But that's what I'm going to be aiming for in the next I don't want to say week or couple of weeks. You know how technology is, but we'll leave it at that. With that, thanks for watching. Hopefully you liked our uh, our um, our new fancy pants stream software, and we shall talk to you later. Have a good day. Bye bye.